Good evening, everyone, or afternoon, wherever you may be. maneco64 here, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's Sunday, August 18th, 2019. So no particular subject today. Just thought it would be good to have a chat with the viewers. Take your questions. I see that there's quite a few here already, and you've been waiting. I did start a little early, but hi. Just gonna say hello to everyone. Hybrid Parts. Don't know if he's here still. Talking about Brexit. Silver retard. A few months ago, I used some gold as collateral at my bank to start a small business. I thought since gold is now a tier 1 asset, I would be able to do that. I guess not. Yeah, not every bank has to accept gold. It's not part of the system, unfortunately, the monetary system. It's been demonetized, especially in the US since 1934, I think, or 33. So we've got David Morsilli. Hi, David. We've got Mr. B, Oliver Bristol, Pablo Pina, Dave Delve from Alberta, Nomadic Diesel, Try to Know One. Just recently found your channel, but really love it. Thank you. Sanjit, good evening, Sanjit. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. I hope. Zoltan Virauti, hi Mario. What about yield curve inversions? Could you explain as part of the yield curve you look at from the 3-month yield to the 10-year yield? It inverted already in December last year. Earlier this week, it inverted from the 2-year to the 10-year. It's disinverted already, but it's a bad sign. I noticed as well from the 1-month T-bill yield to the 30-year, it's inverted as well. So yeah, it's not a good sign. It just means that policy is probably too tight, monetary policy, and that long-term investors, investors feel that in the long term, the economy won't do well. And that's why the cost of money in the long term goes below the cost of money in the short term. It's usually also precedes a recession, yield curve inversion, even though we're being told this time around that it's different. I don't think so. Jazz Atwell, hi Jazz. Johnny is in the Caribbean. Cooter's Barbecue is in Florida. Nice. Tom Taylor, will Glint Pay shut down when there's a credit freeze? I wouldn't see why. Glint Pay basically stores your gold in Switzerland in a private vault. So if there is a credit freeze, I don't know, maybe MasterCard might go down, but your gold will still be there. I don't see why Glint should go down. They don't lend money. They just store your gold, and they keep you have access also to fiat money with Glint Pay, and they keep that at a bank in how can I say allocated account, both the gold and the fiat money. So yeah, and I've even gotten recently an email from one of the viewers showing me a 10-gram gold bar he received from Glint. So he demanded delivery and he got delivery. I forgot who it was. Maybe you're here in the live stream. Maybe you can send that to me again, because I think I lost that. But yeah, one of the viewers has a Glint Pay account. He actually demanded delivery from Glint, and he received a 10-gram gold bar. That's the minimum delivery they do, 10 grams, which is reasonable, because I think if you deliver smaller, the cost might be a bit too much for the amount of gold. But you can buy as a minimum of $1 in gold. So it's quite convenient. Lord Humunga, Silver Daddy, Daddy Silver from Basel. Hey, Nice. I've been to Basel many times when I used to live in Switzerland. I was there. I used to go play golf tournaments in Basel. The golf club of Basel actually is in France, which sounds weird. Basel is in Switzerland, but the Basel Golf Club is across the border in France. And so is the BIS in Basel, our favorite bank, not Bank for International Settlements. Great for you from New Zealand. Hi, great to see you. Olgi from Norway. Gold still at all-time high here in Norway. Yeah, I was looking at a chart of gold before, and it looked, since the middle of May, gold has been almost going straight up. There's a lot of people that are concerned and that's possible. But as I've said many times, markets don't go up in a straight line, right? So that he made today, and he's right. He says trading gold, he wouldn't do good trading gold and cryptos, and I agree with him. It's just a strategy is to do dollar cost averaging for gold. Buy whenever you can at different times, so you. Yeah, great for you. It says gold New Zealand 25.95, but very hard to buy. Yeah, the higher gold goes, the more difficult it will be to buy, and you will find that you'll have to pay a lot more than the spot price. Lawrence Willing, do you think gold will pull back by December? It's climbing a wall of worry. I mean, I've read articles today. There's one here that Zero Hedge published from Sprott versus the bear case for gold. And it's talking about how gold has gone up quite a bit, like I've just said. Yeah, there are people concerned. Their conclusion is that there's ample evidence that gold is extremely overbought and bullish, and that we could have a correction. But gold has been suppressed for so many years that it could be different this time. We could just keep going. People might be waiting for a pullback and never get it. So I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. The only crystal ball I have is that over the long term, precious metals will, how can I say, appreciate versus paper money, because politicians and bankers always abuse the issuance of paper money that's not backed by anything. So that's the only thing I know over the long term. In the short term, they can use all their games and shenanigans to try to stop it. Yeah, Billy is here today. There he is. Yeah, we're very close in euros, yeah, to the all-time high. Lord Henry just smashed the like button. Thank you, Lord Henry. Hope everyone else does it too. I will try to get all your questions, but sometimes it's hard when you get too many people at the same time. So, rumors about HSBC about to crash. Any info, Mara? No, I don't have any info on that. I mean, HSBC is based in Hong Kong, even though it's a British bank. No situation in Hong Kong is a little bit shaky. I saw an article about someone saying that they don't want to have their money in Hong Kong anymore. So who knows? RR, negative interest rates are the black hole for fiat currencies. I agree. They're just as bad as the negative real interest rates we had in the 1970s when there was stagflation. We have the same thing now. The only reason they're able to keep this bond bubble going and rates going lower is that speculators make they make a fortune by buying and holding the bonds, because the prices rise of these bonds when interest rates go down, especially the longer term bond. I was talking a week or so ago about these Austrian century bonds. They were issued in 2017. They mature in 2117. and they were issued at a price of 100 and a yield of 2.1 2 years ago. The yield now is 1.1 and the price is gone to 150. So if you put 100,000 euros in that bond, it's now worth 150, even though the yield's gone down. Carlos Soto, have you checked into Gcoin? It appears to be very similar to Glint. No, Carlos, I haven't heard of Gcoin. Annabelle Franks, a while ago you talked about a head and shoulder in the stock market. Any updates? Let's have a look. The stock market, Dow. Yeah, I mean, I spoke about the head and shoulder. There's been a few head and shoulders. One was back in May, end of May. It looked like we were breaking the neckline. And then in the beginning of June, we started getting all the talk about cutting rates, and that was negated. Right now, I mean, if you take the top from April and the top from July, it looks like we could be forming another head and shoulders. The problem is with these head and shoulders, they don't work all the time. And it seems like whenever we break key levels, we get the Fed out, or we get the administration being less hawkish on the trade negotiations. So like we've had this week, there's talk, not talk, but it's been reported that President Trump, how can I say, called all the Wall Street bank executives after Wednesday to get the market back up. He's removed on some of the goods. So that's what's going on in terms of head and shoulder. Tom Seward, 20th of announced gold coins. No, it's not a problem. I've got some 1/20th of announced gold coins. No, there's no problem. You should there's nothing wrong with that. Robert Cowan, Glint is having trouble with attaching U.S. banking accounts to Glint cards. Standard procedure verifying was failing. Yeah, I do have the Glint promo code. But about that, because I'm not involved with Glint directly like that. But it's the first time I've heard that someone's having trouble. Actually, everyone else seems to be okay. Sutton Bank in Ohio, banking accounts, cards. Okay, this physical is always better than paper. As I've said, I prefer physical. It's a good thing. Gold through them, they will buy the physical and they will hold it for you. So I think especially with younger people, it's a good thing for us who hold precious metals physically, because that means they're going to take more and more physical out of the banking system. And that's a good thing. Gary Green says he has 80% in gold and 20% in silver. You have to decide if that's correct for you, Gary. I'm like you as well. My proportion is a lot higher in gold than silver, and that's fine, because if silver does outperform like it should in a precious metal bull market, that proportion will equalize over time, in my opinion. Andreas Hellstrom, why does anyone buy negative yielding junk bonds? Well, first of all, yeah, they're not junk bonds, they're government bonds, even though I think they're junk. Junk bonds are the higher yielding bonds, which are still positive. The reason they do that, Andreas, is because the price of bonds go up as the yields go down, and the longer term bonds the prices go up even more. So speculators don't care about the yield. They just care about the fact that they bought a bond, a German Bund, for example, 10-year Bund, German government bond at 120 last week, and next week it's going to be 125 the price, even though the yield drops. So they make the 5 cents there. That's why people do it. Yeah, Lord Humongous. Yeah, Greenland and the golf course. A little cold there in Greenland for golf, but who knows? We could have a covered golf course, indoor. Paul England, I love Glint, but does it have a lot of third-party risk? Question mark. Of course, there's the only time you don't have counterparty risk is when you're holding your gold. But even then, there is risk that someone might come and take it from you. Glint holds your gold in a vault, a Brinks vault in Zurich, Switzerland. It's insured, and it's also in allocated gold, which means you actually have title to that gold. Of course, there's risk with that. You are, doing business with Glint. I got the Glint card last year, and I decided to get it, and I didn't even know. I knew the people behind it, and then a few months later, I was contacted by one of the viewers here, actually, who followed my channel, and he used to work in the city of London, and he said, I know the guys at Glint. They want to meet you. So I went there in I think it was October or November, I forget now, and I met with them for over an hour, and and I already had the card, so it wasn't because I met them that I got the card, and I'm comfortable in dealing with them. So it's up to you to decide whether you are comfortable or not. And if you do, use my promo code Mario Glint 79. I guess the 79 stands for gold, 79th element. John DeGlass. Hi, John DeGlass. Thank you, Crypto Boner. Says, love your work. Oh, is it buffering, is it? Sanjit Neogi, Mary, are you going to stay in England forever? Well, I've lived here since 1992, so I haven't been here forever. I used to live elsewhere before, but right now, for me, it suits me living here. My family is here as well. I got family in Switzerland as well, but my wife and daughter, we're here. So it's tough. I know I've lived in different places, and it's tough moving like that. And I know where I am right now. So yeah, it would be interesting to try to move somewhere, but you need to be careful before you do that. Joseph Tuminello talking about, bond market turning and actually dropping when investors, take profit. Yeah, that's very possible. And the thing is that the bond markets are highly leveraged because there's a lot of hedge funds and speculators leveraging to get this capital gain. So it could happen anytime, actually, and that would be they're saying try reconnecting. So hopefully that's better now. That's gone off now, the message. Emils Jensen's, please, my friend Nick Gurr would appreciate the answer. What answer, Emils? As I said, I can't see every question here. You can use the super chat if you want to get my attention. I'm not trying to tell you for people to get my attention. David Morsilli, use your and they've told me with my promo code, there's quite a few actually. Yeah, it looks like it says the connection is unstable. Hopefully that will, yeah, I don't know, why it's doing this. Must be the Wi-Fi. It's supposed to be a good connection. Will Jeffries, if gold goes to 50,000 per ounce, I assume that's US dollars, won't they confiscate it from the public through making it illegal? No, I just think that would be a really bad sign. Well, not a bad sign for people who hold gold. That would be the destruction of the dollar. They wouldn't need to confiscate because probably a lot of people that have gold will maybe sell some. So we are not under a gold standard, so I think it's different. So I don't think there's going to be confiscation. What do you think gold price can be? Depends in which currency. You're talking Federal Reserve notes. Well, right now I think it closed at 1513 on Friday. So a lot of people, I've been hearing people saying, "Oh, gold's going to drop this week, tomorrow." I don't know where it's going to be. It's difficult in the short term. I think we've broken out of the consolidation we had for the last few years. So, when we broke out of 1375, 1380. Sanjit Neogi, are you concerned about the education system in England? Well, that's a general question. I think if you have children, young children, I think you need to be in charge of your children's education, not the state. So yeah, but yeah, it's they've changed a lot of things since I've been in the UK. They don't discipline the children as much in school. So yeah, but I think it's everywhere. It's not just in the UK. Do you think Boris Johnson could be part of the establishment as all this no deal talk is developing? Of course he's part of the establishment. Yeah, of course he is. This is just like a distraction, Brexit, and it divides the country even more. So it keeps, it's the divide and conquer strategy. Of course, they're going to blame everything on Brexit, the devaluation of the pound, the recession that we're going to have. I think we're already in. The GDP is shrinking quarter on quarter already in the UK. I think we already are in a recession, Daniel Thomas. Russian bot. Do you think the pound is going to get some strength against the euro after the reversal last week? That's a good question because I saw something on Facebook the other day saying, people were commenting and they're saying, "Oh, I'm glad we never joined the euro. I'm glad we have our pound. The euro is going to collapse." But you look at the chart of the GBP EUR, which is what 1 pound buys in terms of euro. We were at a 175 back in 2008, and now we're at 109. So what currency is really collapsing? It's not the euro, it's the pound. In the short term, it could rally back against the pound, against the euro, as it did against the dollar last week. But longer term, I think the pound will sink. But all of them are sinking. So I don't think Yes, Skinny B, I agree with you. Need to go to shadowstats.com to see that, in the UK, if you look at RPI, the rate of inflation is like 3%, and the Bank of England rate is 0.75%, so it's totally negative. Triton, you also buying platinum? No, I've never bought platinum. Not because I don't believe in it, but because I just follow more gold and silver, because historically they are the monetary metals. Platinum is a precious metal, but it's not a monetary metal. Learn English today. What is the average percentage return per year in Forex trading? I have no idea. Depends which currencies you trade. DR says, I've been watching all of Bellin GP's YouTube content after you mentioning amazing information, and thanks for getting me onto him. Everyone should watch his channel. Yeah, I mean, I had subscribed for him a long time ago. Problem is I don't get notified very often of his videos because he doesn't do as many videos. Yeah, highly recommend. Kaylin DeLeon, can you say hi, Elizabeth, please? Okay, hi, Elizabeth. Is it better now, the buffering? I hope so. There's nothing I can do about that. Have a bit of my coffee. That's a maneco64 mug. Oh, one thing I wanted to say is that this week there's the Jackson Hole Symposium. That's an annual meeting in Jackson Hole. I think it's Wyoming. It's the Kansas City Fed organizes it, and all the central bankers from around the world go there. That will be an important meeting. I think Jay Powell will speak at that symposium on Friday. It's the markets will keep an eye on that for what the central bankers are thinking. It looks like the market now is Trump is yo daddy, Greg Capella. Yeah, Trump is part of the swamp. I'm afraid to say. Some people might not like that, but I think Trump is part of. He's no different than all the other presidents. But anyway, Jackson Hole is very important this week. So central banker symposium starting on Thursday could move the markets. So yeah, you have to do your homework. I'm not here to advise on individual mining companies. There's different kind of companies. There's exploration companies. There's sure mining company homework. I do have a couple. I don't have that many miners in one of my to them. Old pound notes, they are not legal tender, but I think you can change them at a bank. I have one. I think they ceased being legal tender in 1984. Alex from Scarborough, Ontario. Hi, Alex. Nomadic Diesel, have you been rescheduled with Lynette Zhang yet? No, I mean, I was supposed to do the interview at the end of July, and I contacted Megan like a few days before the end of the month. And she said, oh, we're going to have to reschedule. Something came up, and they haven't contacted me again. So, I'm just, I can't tell you anymore. We've already had a cut, and the market is discounting another rate cut of 25 basis points in September. We probably might get another 2. So it's like 4 this year before the end of the year. Greg Capella, the link to buy my mugs, that's if you go into my YouTube, any YouTube video, it's underneath there. There's the Teespring store is shown in the description. Below the description, YouTube now links to my Teespring store. Or if you can go into Teespring and look for maneco64. Yeah, Trader 586, I agree with you. The bond market is insane right now. That was the market I worked as broker. I wasn't in. We've seen the yields in the last few weeks is a sign of panic by investors, and it doesn't bode well. Triton, I like all denominations in gold. Being in the UK, I like the sovereign, which is just under 1/4 of an ounce. Sovereign is a legal tender coin in the UK. There's no capital gains tax on it. Well, the other thing that I saw about the economy tanking and German banks is also General Electric. There's been a guy, Markopoulos, the guy who exposed, I think, Madoff. He's written a big report about General Electric, or GE. So there's a lot of different things. So-called silver buffering, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. There's an interesting article from sprott.com, and I'll put it here. It's from the CEO of Sprott, and it's the sprott.com insights, and it's entitled, let's have a look, The Rebirth of Gold as Money. And he talks about how since 2001, gold is averaged 17.4% in the major currencies, and that it's gone down only 3 times in the last. I don't know if you pay. Is I think a good sign. DR, is there much difference in the purchase premium between sovereigns and Britannias? It depends, and it depends on the time that you buy it. It depends on the dealer that you use. You need to keep an eye on different dealers and see, so there's no set premium. One dealer might have loads of sovereigns and not enough Britannias. The premium might be higher. For you to sell the Britannia, the premium might be lower for you to buy the sovereign. So it all depends. There's no set premium. It's all to do with the market and the dealer. Russian bot. Russian bot, the guy who won the election for Trump, right? Just joking. He says, a lot of people say we should keep 10% hedge with precious metals. Should we start to increase our holdings of the shiny stuff with all the turmoil? I personally, my allocation is a lot higher than 10%. I don't know why some people say 5 or 10. Bellin GP thinks that historically it should be 70% S&P and 30% gold, but he actually goes on to say that he's a lot more into gold. So maybe when after there's an implosion of markets and everything, then you can start moving it more away from gold, I think. Different circumstances. Dax, Trump, hammers. I think Trump is working with the Fed. Why would he call the major banks that own the Fed last Wednesday to talk to them? Because they're working together. He nominated Jay Powell for chairman. All the talk with the Fed is just theater. Trump is part of the swamp. I just saw an article that a lot of the farm subsidies is actually going to people who live in Manhattan, in LA, San Francisco. So it's not actually farmers that are getting these subsidies, but big businesses getting the subsidies. So I'm not too sure about Trump. Who knows? Some people think he's playing 4D. Philip, I haven't added on to EOS for a while. I bought quite a bit of EOS last November and December when it dropped to like $2 and to below $2. I was lucky to buy some then. It could have gone lower, but unfortunately it didn't. So I haven't added on to it, but I still have my EOS. Billy McFarland, Trump is quite different. At least we have a chance. He knows the value of money. I'm not sure. I'm not really convinced. He talks the talk, but if you look at his actions, he was the president who allowed FASB. Is it FASB 52? So you need to look at Solari report, how these missing 21 trillion. He's allowed the change in accounting standards to go black. So I think he would be exposing these missing 21 trillion. Yeah. I thought he was the real deal, before the election, bet on him in the UK to win. And I won about 800 pounds betting on him. But I'm not too sure. George W. Bush, when he ran in 99, he said, I want to have a humble foreign policy. That was George W. Bush. So you can never really trust a politician, except for Ron Paul, in my opinion. So-called silver, we missed your answer regarding mining companies. Do you own any? I do own some, yeah. But as I said, maybe you missed it because it was buffering. You need to do your own homework. There's buying a company, you need to know who runs the company. You need to know about the companies and where it is and what part of the world. Geopolitical risks. I did years ago when I had more mining shares. I just looked at the major mining funds like Sprott and the Tocqueville, and I looked at their holdings and I tried to copy it. I took ideas from and their prospectus are publicly available, so that's what I recommend. I do have a few in my private pension in the UK. They've done well. I've only got 2. They've done well, and I'm going to hold on to them. James, I don't think there'll be gold miners will be taken down with the stock market crash. Not if gold keeps going up. They'll go up with gold. Silver's never been confiscated. Old world order. I don't think. No, I don't think they would confiscate it in the UK. Oh, you're welcome, so-called silver. Yeah, girl OG, accept more, accept or expect more debt. Is that what you mean? Yeah, I've been thinking. My name is Mr. whatever. Yeah, we are having buffering trouble. I'm not sure why, but yeah, girl OG said no change, and I agree with him, and that's why I think the only time that things will change is when we see interest rates start rising, central banks raising interest rates again. But that's impossible because we're in so much debt. The world is in so much debt, not only privately, but publicly. They can't do that. So they're just going to keep trying to inflate. It's either going to burst, you're going to have a crack up boom, bust, which is what the Austrians predict, or you're going to have a collapse. But I don't think they're going to raise rates anytime soon. That's what you know. They went down this path in '08 when they bailed out the system, and they can't raise rates again. The Fed tried to raise rates, normalize. We saw what happened. James, are you revealing yourself as Satoshi Nakamoto? I'm not sure. I think Bix Weir said it was Alan Greenspan. It's not me. I'm not an IT guy. What's an AARP card? TRP. I don't really give advice on companies. I haven't looked at First Mining Gold Corp, so I can't say. Girl, if you're going to make a wild guess, when do you think the economy is going to collapse? Days, weeks, months? I think we're already collapsing, and it's going to take over the next 12 to 18 months, I think. And I think we might reach a bottom sometime in 2022 or 2021. I'm not sure, but I think we already started. QE4. Probably early next year, I would say, in the spring. Cody Hare. No, I don't think a mortgage debt will be forgiven. Even after the Weimar hyperinflation, debtors were not forgiven. So the bankers, they don't like forgiving debt. But who knows? Eurozone is way overdue for collapse. Well, I don't know. A lot of people talk about the euro collapsing, but the euro, I think, started out trading, I think, in '98. And I think the euro even dropped to like 82 cents, 82 US cents, 1 euro. And now the euro still buys $1.11. So in the last 20 years, the euro has actually performed well against the dollar. Maybe not in the short term. Larry Kudlow says no recession. I guess he would. He's part of the administration. Well, if the credit market freezes, everything is, it will. That's what happened in '08. Because our modern fiat currency based system is based on credit. Yeah, I mean, they could have 2 euros, or they could just have the South break off from the euro, and then the euro would be a really strong currency, even stronger than it has been uh, in the long term. And that's why people are buying German bonds and Dutch state loans, which are the Dutch government bonds, the Northern European bonds. And that's why they have negative yields, because they're piling on to these bonds. So if the Italy or Spain and Greece or Portugal were to leave the euro, these countries would probably stay in the euro, like Germany and Holland. Who knows? But a Deutschmark would be very strong. It wouldn't be good for Germany, because Germany benefits from the relative weakness of the euro. Do you think gold silver ratio will hit 10 to 1? I think, yeah, more. I wouldn't be prepared to say that it would. I think 30 is a good level, or 40 to 1. But who knows? We are in unprecedented times. These markets have been manipulated for so long that we could see things that we never expect to see. Some people even think that we could see 1 to 1. South Philadelphia, Mary, how much longer can this go on in the U.S.? Uh, I don't know. It's not only in the US, it's in the UK, Western Europe. It's been going on for a long time. There's always, but I don't think much longer. The thing is, the US is running a huge budget deficit, uh, you know, so that's why the US economy looks better, because the government is spending so much. It's like 5% deficit. But if there is a recession, which I think there will be, where are they going to get? They're going to have to print, because they don't have the fiscal space to do anything. Russian bot. JP Morgan, I think, yeah, I don't know I haven't read that story about the Canadian credit cards. Yes, Chase for giving that. I can't talk about that. I haven't read about it. Glint versus confiscation, excellent point. Well, right now, Glint keeps the gold in Switzerland, so I don't think they could confiscate that. Ryan Hill, buy a house before or after the reset, and why? Well, investment. So I was never too concerned about the price of the house. Of course, the first house my wife and I bought, mortgage, relatively big mortgage. So that's what I would worry about. DR Glint versus Gold Core versus Gold. I don't know about Gold Core. I have a Goldmoney account. I have to say personally, not only because I have the promo code with Glint, that Glint is a lot more user friendly. And I know the people at Glint, they approach me. Goldmoney hasn't approached me. But the only problem with Goldmoney, James Turk founded that company. And I like James Turk. He's been on my channel. I've interviewed him, but he sold the company a few years ago. And the major shareholders of Goldmoney, major shareholder of Goldmoney is Soros Asset Management. So the Soros family. Yeah, I think it's easier to use Glint, personally, the Glint app and the card. Goldmoney is a little bit more cumbersome. You have to load your card with the fiat money before spending. with Glint, you can load your card with gold and spend it, and they do the foreign exchange transaction at the point of spending. You can't do that with Glint. Shawuntio Johnson, thank you for all you do. Be blessed. Thank you. No, I don't think Christine Lagarde is fit to head the ECB. She's going to continue. She thinks low interest rates are a good thing, and she's trained as a lawyer, so she's not really a banker. A bit like Jay Powell, he's trained as a lawyer. And you know who was trained as a lawyer as well? Rudy von Havenstein, who was the head of the Reichsbank during the Weimar hyperinflation. So yeah, lawyers and central banks, not a good mix, I don't think. Ryan Hill, take out a low fixed interest rate loan, you mean, to buy gold and silver? No, I've never borrowed to buy gold and silver. I try not to. Yeah, I stay out of that. It's tempting, I guess, but no, not for me. You can do it, but I've never done it. I guess when I did trade gold futures, I guess indirectly when you trade gold futures, you're leveraging. But I always kept my leverage low in the gold futures. Let's say if I had $100 in my account, I would only leverage it like 2 times, even though you can leverage it like 5 times with the futures. Triton, if gold would go to 5, 10, or 100,000, would you sell? Would you hold? I would probably be looking at other assets like maybe property, real estate, and comparing the price. And if property prices were still really high, I would still keep the gold. But if property prices had collapsed, I might, exchange some of my gold for real assets like that. It all depends on the relative value. It's like savings. If I think, yeah, that's what I would do. So I'll take a couple of more questions and then I'll call it a day, because we've been here for almost an hour. It doesn't mean I'm thinking in fiat money terms. It means that I'm thinking in relative value. I wouldn't exchange it for fiat money terms, Triton. But if gold, if I could buy, what I can buy now, and then if a house was still needed 100, but if I probably would. And that's what I mean. And of course, I'd have to transfer it to fiat and then buy the house. But I wouldn't put it in fiat. Lord Humongous, have a great weekend, Mary and Billy. Thank you. Charles Enner said, we'll have a pullback in gold before another run up. He could be right. Could be right. Gold has been going up almost every week since the end of May. I think there's been 1 week where it had a down week. Sonic Scooter, you're welcome. You're welcome, Old World Order. And with that, I'm going to say good night to everyone. Anyone here who's not subscribed, if you care. Bye.